Meet you. Very good. All right, guys. Good evening and welcome to Lincoln County Courthouse. This joint meeting of the Lincoln County Planning Commission and the Sioux Falls City Planning Commission will begin with a few introductory remarks. This meeting is being streamed live, and when adjourned and posted, it'll be available at any time at lincolncountysd.org. The order of events tonight will be as follows. For each public hearing, staff will introduce the agenda item and present a summary of the staff report. The applicant will then be asked to explain their proposal in further detail and to answer any questions from the County Planning Commission and City Planning Commission. I'll then open the floor to public comment, first for the persons in support of the application, then for the persons in opposition to the application. When you step up to the podium, please state your name and address and speak into the microphone. Thanks for your cooperation. Okay, so we'll first do roll. In the county, we got Commissioner Henstead. Here. Commissioner Boots. Here. Mr. Jungling. Here. Commissioner Schmidt. Here. Mr. Scott is also here. City, you can do your roll.
All right, we have Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Paulson.
Here.
I apologize. Commissioner Manal.
Here.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, very good. Now we'll approve the meeting minutes from last month. Is there any changes to the minutes? Does anybody have? Okay, seeing none. I get a motion and a second from the county side.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
On the city side, I'll look for commissioner action on approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Pass on the city side.
Okay. Now we'll approve the meeting agenda. Mr. Brown, is there any changes to the meeting agenda for tonight?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Can I get a motion and a second from the county to approve the agenda for tonight?
Motion by Boots.
Second, Jungling.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. City?
On the city side,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Johnson.
Approved, Malali. Or second, Malali, sorry.
approved, motion is second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. Approved on the city side.
Okay. Next thing we'll do is we'll take public input on non-agenda items. So this is the time in the meeting. If there's anybody here that'd like to speak about something that's not on the agenda, please come forward. Seeing none, we will move to our first application. Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Toby Brown, representing County Planning. This item before you this evening is an application for a change of zone of approximately 7 acres out of a 130-acre parcel to rezone from the A1 Agricultural District to the C Commercial District. Subject property is located about a half a mile north of County Highway 106. Go back up there. County Highway 106 and the intersection of County Highway 106 and South Dakota Highway 11. Comprehensive plan for the city of Sioux Falls does not identify this as a nodal commercial area. It does identify this preliminarily as future residential area, single-family dwellings. Subject property is zoned A1 agricultural. All surrounding properties are zoned like A1 agricultural, except the parcel to the south, which was rezoned in approximately 2020 to commercial for development of warehousing or storage condos. Subject property is undeveloped. Again, the 7-acre parcel that would be platted out of the parent parcel is utilized for agricultural purposes, and it doesn't have any current structures on it. The applicant did submit a concept plan with the application. Concept plan identified that there would be approximately 126,720 square feet of warehousing that would be then subdivided into condos and sold to various property owners. Comprehensive plan identifies, again, this area as existing rural area. The comprehensive plan further identifies that existing rural areas should be maintained as rural areas until such time as city infrastructure and city resources are available to the property. This property is identified as a Tier 3 growth area, so those services and resources are anticipated to be available to this property within 16 to 25 years. The comprehensive plan also identifies some goals and policies as far as commercial type development. The commercial type development is encouraged to be located at nodal type areas to avoid strip type commercial development or clustering development, or not clustering, but essentially strip development. Subject property would access off of South Dakota Highway 11. Staff is working with the Department of Transportation as well as the applicant and the City of Sioux Falls engineering staff. The South Dakota Department of Transportation is not going to allow direct access of this parcel onto South Dakota Highway 11. So we are working to identify that just to the north of this property is it would essentially be the quarter line or the half mile line. So proposal at this time would be to establish a public right-of-way along that half mile line. And then that would be dedicated by the applicant, current landowner, for use as a public road essentially. Still working through some of those details on that part of it. But tonight, this action would be for a recommendation to the elected officials for approval or denial of the change of zone. In addition, if the rezone is approved, because of the size of this proposal, it would require a conditional use permit, which will be brought back before the Planning Commission at some time in the near future, as well as may or may not require a preliminary subdivision plan to be approved by the boards as well. So staff did review the recommendation in the application, did review the current policies in place. Again, the current policies would be Shape Sioux Falls 2040 would be the guiding policies for this proposal in this particular area. Staff did identify that this application is not consistent with those policies, and did identify that, the recommendation from staff is to recommend denial of this application. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have for staff at this time. City staff is also available if there's any direct questions for them tonight too, so.
All right. We'll start with the city side. Do you guys have any questions for Mr. Brown? No? I'll check with, how about on the county side? Any questions? No? All right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll turn it back to you, and the applicant is available tonight.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Okay, I'll ask the applicant to come forward, please. State your name and address for the record and tell us a little bit about what you're wanting to do here.
Sure. So Eric Van Dong, 307 West La Quinta Circle, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Chair and Commissioner, thanks for taking the time to review this.
Hold on just a, yeah, she's gonna adjust
Okay,
the focus
yeah.
so we can see it better.
Yeah, it's fuzzy up here too.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks Toby too for filling them in on that. I'll just go through this here. I put together quite a bit of information, so you'll get kind of all the details you would need. So we'll go through this, kind of a 3D idea of what we think this is going to look like. You can see the Highway 11 here on the front side, and then that future major collector up on the north side, which would be on the quarter line. So kind of just a quick history of what we've done. On this, you can see the current rec storage site and then the 605 storage site there in the orange box. So in 2020, like Toby said, we successfully rezoned and started construction on rec storage condos. We went through the same process that we're going through currently. That rezone ag to commercial was denied by staff and the Joint Planning Commission at that time. And there were two reasons. One, it was spot zone, and two, it went against the 2040 comprehensive plan. Then a couple months later, that rezone denial was approved by the county commissioners and Sioux Falls city councilors. So today we find ourselves in the same position we did 4 years ago. Staff is recommending denial as it goes against the 2040 comprehensive plan, but no longer is spot zoning. So with that said, Commissioners, after I'm done presenting the slideshow, I respectfully ask that you would consider voting to approve this rezone instead of deny. A little bit of what we did last time, there was concern of if we rezone it, or if you guys rezone it from ag to commercial, you know, we could do anything we want with it. At that time, there was a mention of slaughterhouse nuclear plant. So just kind of showing you, hey, this bottom left picture here is kind of what we proposed. The bottom right is what the finished product turned out to be. So just, you know, we follow through with what our plans are, so. The new buildings will have the same style as rec storage condos, so this will have a really nice appearance from the highway and be a great asset for Lincoln County and the Sioux Falls area. Rec storage condos is a very clean and high-end property. We want to continue with the highest quality and same set of HOA covenants and bylaws to help protect the appearance and also protect each owner's investment. This property is secure with a nice fence and security cameras to help if issues come up. We also keep up on mowing and any maintenance of that detention pond. We have trees around the perimeter that give it a nice appearance as well. So to summarize it, this new project, if we can get it to go through, will look just as nice as our first project. So some of the moving parts we have right now, the yellow arrow there is the new access point, which Toby touched on. Will be right on the quarter section line, which is the property line. This new access will be for the 605 storage condo site to the south, as well as Al Dashel to the north. This access location came as a recommendation from Joe Sistek with the South Dakota DOT. So we've been working with him and then Harry and Brian as well. So the second point here is the red arrow, which kind of shows you where that future street extension would go that Toby mentioned as well. So as the city grows, we are allowing appropriate right-of-way and setbacks for this future major collector. This needs 40 feet right-of-way on each side of the property line. We've been working with Shannon Austin with the Sioux Falls planning on this. So 605 storage condos has the 40-foot right-of-way in the site plan, and it will be in the new plat as well. One of the concerns was that the property to the north, which is Al Dashel, didn't have the 40-foot easement in it, but we were able to obtain the plat from Becky here at Register of Deeds. So this is just a copy of that showing you that that 40-foot easement is already on that entire south property line. So you can kind of see that. So we're good to go as far as that's concerned for that future street to go in. This is the application we submitted to the DOT. So we have all of the signatures from, I know that's kind of hard to see, but both landowners, so Al Dashel, Lynn Poppinga, and then we as the applicants. So Joseph has that. It's kind of in a little bit of a limbo, I guess, for working with Shannon, with the city, and just, like I said, it's the moving parts of what's going on with that access point. We do have an access easement between 605 storage condos and Al Dashel. So if this were to go through, both landowners that are going to be using this access have this to basically protect each other. So why rezone, why here? So after reviewing the next few slides, I think you will understand why this is actually the perfect spot for this rezone. This new property will be sharing a south property line with Rec Storage Condos, HOA, which is commercially zoned, and Al Dashel to the north. Additionally, there's a large car dealership to our north, as well as a large storage facility across the highway from that dealership. And then you go a bit further north, and there's a large 3-story indoor storage facility at that location. So we feel that precedent has been set here for the rezone to pass at this location. Storage condos are cost prohibitive in Sioux Falls. This location proves to be a great bang for your buck. If you look at purchasing land in Sioux Falls and building your own shop space, it can be 2 to 3 times more expensive than purchasing a storage condo, which we would have to offer here. It's a great location for many folks in T, Harrisburg, Sioux Falls, as well as Brandon and down to Canton. You have easy access with 271st Street running east and west, and Highway 11 running north and south. There's a growing demand for storage as Sioux Falls and the surrounding area sees increase in population year after year. We have a current wait list of 31 potential buyers, and that number kind of keeps growing. And really, we haven't advertised anything for over a year since our last project, just because we didn't, we had no plans to add anything. But we're over 30, and those are guys that basically said, if you get this done, let us know, we want to buy one. So the need is there, the demand is there, and the city keeps growing. So these storage condos act as a great buffer zone between Highway 11 and the future residential growth to the west. So the 2040 comprehensive plan says this area will be future residential, but it isn't ideal to have residential up against the busy state highway. Economic impact from starting with construction all the way through the sale of these, and then beyond that into property tax dollars. So a little insight on the current rec storage that's there. They are currently, with all the units in the common area, paying $175,000 annually to Lincoln County. So that's a big shot in the arm for the county on property tax dollars. One concern last time when we did this is kind of, drainage, and that makes sense. So all drainage issues will be handled with the large water detention pond on the property. The size and design of this will be handled by engineers, just like we did at rec storage condos. The pond can handle snow melt and heavy rain runoff. And we are currently working with Norman Engineering on this, and they have all the plans and stuff. It's just kind of it's almost finalized, but they're still working out some stuff. So we are working on that. So who supports this project? We have Lynn Poppinga, who is here tonight as well. He's a landowner and neighbor. Al Dashel, same with him. He's in attendance. Jesse Vandestroot and Gilbert Vandestroot, who are landowners to the north and to the east. I spoke with them. They were hoping to be here, but I didn't see them. They had no problem with it. And then a couple owners at Rec Storage, as well as the Rec Storage HOA board, supports this. I also had a conversation with Tyler Tortson, who is the president and CEO of Sioux Metro Growth Alliance. They focus on helping to grow tax bases through economic activity, building projects, and other means to improve the quality of life in the entire Sioux Falls MSA. So Tyler reviewed our project and had no concerns, and then quoted, "This project has a couple-year track record of success now with no issues," and he was referring to the rec storage site that we did. "It is a creative way to fill a unique need in our region and is contributing to our regional economy through the taxes it's generating." Here's a list. Yeah, you can't read that, but this is a list of all 31 buyers that are wanting to move forward on purchasing their own unit. So we're trying to work as best we can with all of these moving parts and all the different branches of kind of local city government. We've proven to follow through on what we say we will do, going back to rec storage. We have proven to work well with all forms of government who oversee joint jurisdiction items. The South Dakota DOT, Joseph, has been great. He has our traffic count from rec storage. We were able to get him that information through our cameras on site, which pick up all the traffic. And that falls within an acceptable range for the South Dakota DOT. So that's all good to go. Lincoln County Tax Office, so I spoke to Rhonda. She is how I got that number for the $175,000 annual for rec storage in property taxes. Sioux Falls Planning, Shannon Austin. She gave us all the information for the future major collector street, along with all right-of-way distances, so we have allowed adequate room for that future road to be built when the time comes. And then Lincoln County Planning. So we've been working closely with Toby and his office and his staff to make sure we're kind of getting everything done that we need to. So taking just a little bit of a dive into the 2040 comprehensive plan, because that's kind of the hangup that, that we're facing right now. So I'll read you, I'll read you what this says here. The Shape Sioux Falls Comprehensive,
Sir, can we keep your comments just to the project itself? And I guess if we have questions on the comprehensive plan, we'll sure ask them, but if you could just
Okay.
kind of keep it to your project, I guess that's what
Okay.
we'd like you to talk about right now.
sure. Okay, so to sum it up, the comprehensive plan just kind of says, hey, there are times that come before the commission, which is now, I feel like this is kind of one of those situations. Basically saying, hey, well, if something comes up that makes sense, take a look at it. So that is in there. Page one, if you guys want to look later, page 188 and page 194. So looking at Harrisburg, South Dakota Comprehensive Plan, do you want me to skip this one too?
Yeah, I guess, let's just stay to your project. I
Okay.
think we got some questions
Okay.
that we'd like to get to.
Okay.
Most of us are very familiar with our own comprehensive plans.
Sure.
And so, we kind of know what they say about it, about
Okay.
these types of projects, so.
Okay.
As far as the Harrisburg Comprehensive Plan, it's not a joint meeting with Harrisburg, so I guess we probably don't need to go through that.
Okay. So I guess last slide, going through this process, obviously we want to work with everyone, make sure we're covered on all the stuff, any issues that come up. So that's, I appreciate your time and looking into this and considering the rezone. So that's all I got.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
We'll start with the county side here. Do you guys have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none? Any? What's that?
I have a few.
Okay, good. Commissioner Jungler?
You know, if you guys want to go ahead first? No, go ahead. All right. So, couple things. With you sharing a driveway with Al to the north, would he then remove his highway, his driveway off the highway and relocate over there?
Correct, yep. Yep, that would be the only way we can get that done. So that was Joseph's idea, to get rid of his, move it to the south and use it jointly.
So is this all approved through our highway superintendent? I know you mentioned the DOT for the state, but really we care about what the county superintendent says about the road that he maintains.
It's a state road.
Well, it is state, yeah, I guess. Okay, I take that one back then.
Okay.
So I guess one of my concerns is a number of things, but the fire support, is that Harrisburg volunteer, or where does that come from for emergency services? Is that county?
Yeah, sure, I don't know that answer.
All right, yeah,
I think
that's some of the questions I have, that's it.
I think your closest for fire would be Sioux Falls, because they have a fire station on the extreme east side, or it could be both.
I don't think they'd come out
It'd
in,
be a toss-up.
they wouldn't come outside of the city limits, would they?
No, if they're called, they have a reciprocal agreement
Yeah.
with the two. They can, if so wanted. But Harrisburg would be your primary one.
That's what I would guess. Yeah. Okay, I've got a few questions. And I guess that was one of them. Are you guys doing anything for fire protection, like sprinklers or anything in any of these buildings?
Sure, so sprinklers aren't in this one. We would have firewalls, 3-hour firewalls every, I believe it's 10,000 square feet. And then we're required to have fire extinguishers in
Okay.
each unit.
But no fire protection, no sprinklers?
Correct.
Okay, and there isn't, okay, well, it doesn't matter on the other one. And maybe this is well, I'll save that question. Okay, so the access, and then are you anticipating any businesses being run out of these?
No. Yep, that was part of it when we went through in 2020, is that we couldn't have retail.
Yeah.
So in the bylaws and covenants of that, then that is laid out. So
And
no retail.
that would be in the bylaws of these as well?
Correct. Yep, that's
Because
correct.
that's something that we're running into on a monthly basis.
I bet.
Is people want to run businesses out of storage units, and that doesn't work that good, I don't think, most times.
Yeah.
And at first, I guess I was under the under the impression that these were just for rent, but you're actually selling these.
Correct.
And then someone holds title to them through your or who manages that, I guess?
Yeah, so it is ran through, once everything's sold off, then that gets turned over to an association, HOA.
Okay.
Yep, so they would manage the property, but each individual owner still has the deed to their own unit, so they can sell it whenever they would see fit.
And then the HOA is in charge of keeping the fence up and these types of things?
Yep, correct, yeah. So
So-
any maintenance on the property.
Okay, and maybe that's a question I'll have for Mr. Brown, because if the conditional use permit, maybe it follows the property, because if the rezone and the conditional use permit is in your name, and then you sell all these off and it ends up transferring to an HOA, I'm confused how that would look. Would the conditional use permit transfer, Toby? And has that been the case with your other one? Have you guys went through that process and switched that over to the HOA?
Yes.
Out of your name?
Yep, so
The
it's,
conditional use
it's
permit?
completely out of rec storage condos. It is fully into either the owner on the buildings or it's into rec storage condominium association.
That's what the conditional use permit is in now?
I guess I don't know, I'd have to discuss that with Toby. I'm not sure what that one is in now.
Do we? Okay, yeah. Fair enough. Okay. I guess that's all the questions I have. I'll pass it over to you guys for now. That's all I have.
Any questions on the city side, commissioners?
Question, Mr. Chair. Are we looking at creating conditions associated with this rezone request if we were to go down the approval side? Or that's what I was starting to hear, and just questioning whether that's been anticipated or not, beyond the discussion that we've had tonight based on the questions that were raised. I don't know if staff can comment on that or not, but.
I can answer it. There wouldn't be any conditions on the rezone, no. They would have to come with the conditional use permit. And I maybe got a little ahead of myself. I apologize.
Any other questions?
Nothing additional here.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now I'll ask anybody else in favor of the application to come forward.
Lynn Poppinga, me and my wife, we own Coach's Acres, which owns the property, and we think it'll fit nicely in that corner of our property, so.
What's your address, Lynn? Just for the record?
47720 271st Street.
Okay, thank you.
So our home place is kitty cornered across the
Yep.
section, so.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Al Daschel, I live to the north, 27045 South Dakota Highway 11. And, I've been watching the existing project they had that's completed now. And what I've noticed is it's very low traffic. And I kind of like that. And since he's already got storage condos there, I like the idea of bringing them up to my property. Because I'd rather see that than another business or a gas station or something along them lines. So I'm for the project.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oops. Anyone else like to speak in favor of the application? Okay, we'll close the floor to that, and we'll open the floor to anybody that'd like to speak in opposition to the application. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the floor to public comment. And I think one of the things that works good is if we all just have a little discussion, share some thoughts before we before anybody wants to make a motion, would that be fair?
Yep.
Thoughts from the city?
I would be interested in getting a little history lesson about what transpired involving the project that this is similar to several years ago. It seems like actions were taken subsequently that didn't necessarily acknowledge the comprehensive plan or establish that this was consistent with it because they approved it. So I just like to understand that history.
Mm-hmm.
Fletcher Laycock, Senior Planner, City of Sioux Falls Planning Department. I wasn't here when the original rezoning went through. I do know that staff's recommendation at that time was to deny the request. The Joint Planning Commission also made the recommendation to deny. And then at City Council is where they voted against the Planning Commission recommendation and approved the rezoning.
Fletcher, I was on the board at that time. So yeah, the joint planning voted to say no. And then I think, if I remember right, the Lincoln County Commission said no. But then the City of Sioux Falls Commission said yes, and that's how it passed.
Not City Council or?
City Council,
Yeah.
yeah, City Council.
What,
I forgot I sent him up here and I forgot he wasn't here at the time, so.
but we maybe have a few more
were here.
questions for Fletcher.
I'll answer that question. When it did go to the elected officials, it was a 12-1 vote, as was stated in the slide. There was one opposition from the county side, but otherwise it was unanimous approval on it. I think my recollection of that meeting, and again, that's 2020, so I'm trying to recall it, but essentially, I think there was some question about, that the city of Sioux Falls knows more about this, but the tiered service areas, if infrastructure is available, the timing of it, and things like that, and is there a need for, if there's development that's proposed outside of those timelines, how does that framework work and things like that. So I think all sides felt that, and then the other thing I think is at that time, as the applicant pointed out, is that staff played up the spot zoning and then also the residential type land uses proposed under Shape Sioux Falls. But at that time, I think the city council also spoke up that, that this is really, could be, there's many areas in Sioux Falls that grow up around storage, warehousing, and those different types of things. So they didn't view it as a conflict between those two land uses, I think, as the applicant stated in his presentation. That's my recollection of it, so.
Okay. So one of the questions I have, I'm aware of why it isn't consistent with the Lincoln County Comprehensive Plan. I'm not an expert on the Sioux Falls. Well, I'm probably not an expert on the Lincoln County one either, but I do understand it. What's the main reason for recommendation of denial from the city side? I understand why it's coming from the county.
Okay, Fletcher Laycock, Senior Planner. So the main concern is that this, we have this joint jurisdiction with Lincoln County to create plans for the growth area for the city of Sioux Falls. And one of the ways that we implement that is through what we call our tier growth maps. And so we have tier 1, which we're going to have services there in 0 to 5 years. Tier 2 is 5 to 15, and then tier 3 is 15 and beyond. So that's what this area is that tier 3. So we're not going to have city services out here, probably not going to be extending out towards this area for many years. And so there aren't going to be those services available. And so when we said that this was spot zoning, I mean, it still is a request for incompatible land use in an area that we should be preserving for ag until such time as the city has services available in this area.
Okay, makes sense. Are you, from a city standpoint, are these built, well, I guess that would be a conditional use permit question, so appreciate it. Any other questions for Fletcher? I'll let him sit down. All right, appreciate it, thank you. Any comments? More comments?
Was the city,
You guys have, yeah, we're still on you. If you guys have any more comments?
Doesn't look like it.
No? Okay. County?
yeah, some more of my comments were, I know it was mentioned that the storage units to the north are along Highway 17, and they are also storage units, but they are in Tier 1, and they are annexed, or very soon will be annexed into the city of Sioux Falls with services. So they'll have water, sewer, and all that, where this is projected to be 15-plus years out. So as we talked in part, as we grow the city, and we grow the county, and we grow everything, we do want to expand for the municipals out. So that's probably one of the reasons I'm vote no.
Thank you, Commissioner Jungland. Commissioner Booch, got anything?
It's nice to get a little bit of the history since I wasn't here. I mean, I've watched them go up. I mean, it's a nice looking complex out there. I mean, there's no denying that they've got a nice set of buildings out there. It looks nice. I'm kind of torn. I mean, I know it doesn't fit the comprehensive plan and we're trying to follow that. I'm kind of thinking it through, so I'm hoping to maybe hear from a few other people up here that maybe were around for it or not. And it sounds like it's just Jerry and Scott. Were you around?
I was probably around, but not at the meeting.
Okay. How about Commissioner Schmidt? Have you got any history you can help me out with here?
I was around. There was a lot of discussion. I think the commission always is very reluctant to overturn anything the planning and zoning done, but the discussion dealt with other existing facilities that were along Highway 11, with Frankman Motors being there. There's 2 storage units right next to 57th Street. And this was down, I don't know, is it about a mile or so down Highway 11 or something like that? So the discussion was, it's kind of, they have precedence there. And that was about the discussion, and the vote was taken. It was, I think there was one dissenting vote from Lincoln County, and was overwhelmingly passed by the city of Sioux Falls. And you see the facility they put up, and they can be proud of that because it is an excellent facility. So that's just general about that. I mean, I think the overriding thing was the precedent of having 2 storage units and a huge car lot there. So this was in an ag area, but it was good to have that kind of on the highway as opposed to other commercial things that will probably come in. And I don't know, that's what I remember of that meeting.
Commissioner Instead, thoughts?
I guess just from personal experience, we, in that part of town, in every other part of town, they say, oh, try and put all the commercial and industrial right next to each other. Well, when you look at the setup of Sioux Falls, there's a lot of industrial on the north side of town, a lot by the interstate, by the 271 exit. But on that southeast side of town, I was looking for a 10-acre parcel of commercial light industrial for my business. And, we couldn't find anything because we wanted to service that part of the city, but there was nothing available. So that was kind of frustrating to us to know that, hey, we couldn't, because we run a concrete company, and to get those trucks outside of the city limits so they're not tearing up the roads coming in and out of town. So we were frustrated in the same area of town that, hey, we couldn't find anywhere to build because nobody was wanting to rezone because it was future residential and all this stuff. But, maybe it's us or whoever needs to look further down the road and say, hey, this part of town needs a commercial, industrial type area, so these people can congregate and, you can have the storage units and the contractor shop and all that stuff in one area. And, it just kind of seems like as, with the car dealership and those other units already there, as this kind of seems like the place that it should be, especially with the proximity of the new Highway 100 coming through. I mean, it just seems like a good location to me, and just from my standpoint, I'm trying to find a place out there in the last year and a half and going through the same frustrations they are is I think there needs to be some, as we're going through this new comprehensive plan, is look at something in that area to, I know that the price of land and everything is valuable, and, we need the residential areas also, but we also need to, like they said, they got a waiting list of 30 people that are already wanting this. So there is a need there for it, and we just, I think as a board, we have to, help them find the right location to put this thing.
Okay. And thank you for your comments, and I don't disagree. I mean, from a standpoint that maybe there is an area where that use, where we need to have that, right? I don't know that that's been determined where that area is, and I think that it will be when we get through our comprehensive plan, and I think it would be premature of us to just start deciding that before our comprehensive plan is done. When I look at this, and if you look at the zoning map on the county GIS site, I mean, I'm completely familiar with that part of the county. I've spent a lot of time up there over the years. But when I look at the zoning map, this thing just kind of sticks out all by itself. I mean, there isn't any other like land uses for the current one. And if we were to do this one, it would totally be on an island zoned by itself, which I think, just my experience has been on the short time I've been on planning commission, is when we have erratic zoning, it maybe doesn't seem like that big of a deal today, but 10 years down the road, it causes people problems. That's what I've seen, and so I'm very, not that I don't think you folks have a great idea, do things at the utmost best, but I'm very cautious about spot zoning or rezoning outside of an area that hasn't been identified that's the best use. It might be what you think is the best use, might even be what we think is the best use tonight, but I truly, I think that's why one of the main reasons we're going through the updated comprehensive plan, but our old comprehensive plan says that it isn't, and apparently the city of Sioux Falls says that it isn't. And those people are experts in this, and so I take that pretty serious as a lead. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Those are my thoughts. Go ahead, Commissioner Junglin.
A couple more comments. So I know we're talking about storage units down the road, but that is a mile away, and there are existing developments, residential in between. There's a lot of houses that have been there for years, so it's not a continuation. There's actually, I don't know how many, but there's lots of houses in between. Was that Franklin and where this one?
Mr. Brown, is there any way you could pull the zoning map up?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, Schindler,
Schindler.
north of Schindler.
Because you got those half a dozen houses along 11, and then just to the west of those, there's that development back in there. I don't know what it's called or how many houses are back in there
You mean back of Schindler, back on the road?
So here's what I'm looking at, you guys.
on the west side. Yeah, them are the houses I'm thinking.
You gonna put your mouse where this property is, Toby? Okay, you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's that.
I'm not saying that down the road, that wouldn't be a great place for commercial and industrial, but I don't know that we know that tonight. I don't. And when you go up north and you look at where the other things have been referenced to, you look at the proximity to the city. And I mean, that's all gonna be part of the municipality, and just,
Well, if you drew the line across, I think 89th Street is now pretty much the city limits of Sioux Falls.
So. Okay. Any last comments from either side, I guess?
Mr. Chairs,
Yeah.
the city had a similar scenario to this with the joint jurisdiction with Minnehaha County on the north side, west on North 60th from the South Dakota DOT facility. Similar situation, ag, the use was gonna be a new location for a commercial, I don't know if it was, I can't recall that piece of it now, it was trailers, or it was something very low impact in terms of needing city services. It just needed space to grow in a more secure space. Where they're at on 12th Street today was not secure, vandalism all the time, and they just wanted to get out of there. The issue was going from ag to commercial, and it too, even though you could throw a rock, you'd have to throw it really, really hard, but you could hit that South Dakota DOT facility. But that distance, seemingly not that far, still put it in the tier 3 because there's a big drop off right there. Sewer water wasn't going to work well with that particular location. Once this went commercial, even though that buyer said, hey, we're going to do our thing, we're going to just put this here, if they changed their mind, someone came along with a big check, it could have turned into something that did need a lot of city services or a lot of sewer and water, and it wouldn't have it for 16 to 25 years, and that's a long span to cover. This particular situation is that same range. Yes, you want to do what you want to do, but as that grows out, if the city grows out into a commercial need in this area, they write you guys a big check, or the association a big check, and services aren't out there yet for a bigger, more robust need. It's just nothing you can't have a contingency for that. We were specifically told we couldn't say, you can only do this use on that rezone. And so it's gray area, and therefore I'm not leaning towards supporting this. The good news is, outside of this body, as we saw before, elected officials, Jim, if you want to earmuff it quick, they can make whatever decisions they want with their own rationale, but we're really pointed towards the comprehensive plan for these kind of reasons, and I'm gonna lean that way myself tonight, so.
Mr. Chair, I echo what Kurt just mentioned and described as a situation that I think bears the decision to not support it, which is what I'm going to plan to do.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, and it's one we talk about when we have just our county meetings on these rezones is, once we do that, it's forever. And, it isn't going back to anything else. And if we haven't if we aren't 1,000% sure that that's the right use for that land, it's never gonna change. And we've bumped into a fair bit of those that are commingled with other uses, and that's where we have 99% of our problems.
If we do rezone it commercial, and that's commercial forever, like you said, and then if we do not approve the conditional use permit, it's still commercial.
It is.
So if it doesn't, the conditional use permit doesn't pass, then they could sell that off or whatever commercial. Again, I know that's not the intent. And these guys did build a good facility. I agree with that. But that's always an option we gotta look at, and what does it look like, we said 40, 50 years down the road.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, one last comment.
Don't shoot the messenger. Okay. And I'm not saying this is my opinion. But one of the discussions that ensued here was this. Okay, so you have a comprehensive plan that will allow currently something. And this, let's just say it's residential housing. Well, over time, you put houses up there, but however, it doesn't facilitate the fact that around now those houses, you have commercial development, You might have light industrial development. So what you have done is you've anticipated through time that housing would be there when in actuality, it may not be there. There may be something entirely different. So planning out there that far, so, it's a value judgment on this thing. But you're right, if you did rezone this commercial, it will remain commercial and will facilitate more commercial development along a highway. And the other part is, I don't know that you really want to see a lot of housing development located right next to a highway. I mean, if you look at Harrisburg, they have, most of their condos now are about a half mile or something off of Minnesota Avenue. So that was one of the arguments that ensued, or discussions that ensued, that are we prohibiting good growth even by trying to be as cautious as they are? You don't have to agree with it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that was one of the discussions that pursued by both the city council and the commission.
Okay.
And I announce this ahead of time. I probably will abstain from this thing because it'll probably end up in front of the commission again at a later time.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Schmidt. Unless we have any more discussion, can we get a motion for approval in a second from the county side and have a vote?
I'll make the motion to approve for discussion.
Okay,
Second instead.
okay. Should we get do you guys want to do a motion in a second?
Typically, we let you
Let's
guys finish
vote
and then
first.
we'll do it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I will call unless anybody has any last comments, call the roll. Commissioner Ensted,
Yes.
Commissioner Boots,
No.
Commissioner Jungling,
No.
Commissioner Scott is Commissioner Schmidt?
Abstain.
Okay, Commissioner Scott is a no. Motion does not, or motion fails.
The county side.
Yep, on the county side.
On the city side, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve, Johnson.
Second, Malali.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All,
Sorry, had the benefit of our joint discussion already. Like that format, by the way. Thanks,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
all right, all those in favor, please say yes. All opposed, same sign.
Yes.
Yes.
The motion fails on the city side.
Okay. All right, so, thanks, guys. Is that our only application, Mr. Brown?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
So with there being no business, or no old business, no new business, you don't have any new business, do you? No? So we'll just look for a motion to adjourn in the county.
Motion adjourned, Jungling.
Second, Boots.
Okay, it's been moved, properly seconded to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're adjourned on the county side. No.
Motion on the city side.
Move to adjourn. Johnson.
Second, Paulson?
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned on the city side.
Okay, very good. Thank you.